The DateTimePicker Control. Its purpose is to allow the user to select a single item from a list of dates or times. The commonly used properties are: there's a name. It's a unique ID to refer to a specific control in code. There's the enable property. A control can be enabled or not. Default is enabled. The font property includes a name, size, bold, and others. The format property determines whether dates and/or times are displayed. Location. There's X and Y. These are the horizontal and vertical positions on the form. Max date. This property sets a maximum date that can be selected. Min date. This sets the minimum date that can be selected. Show up down. This displays either a drop down or a spin box control to control the values displayed. Size. There's width and height in pixels. The tab index property. The sequence or order in which this control will get the focus when the user hits the tab key. Value. The current date time for this control. Visible. The control can be visible or invisible. The default is visible. The default event is the name value change event. It fires when a change is made to the control. Let's see all this in action. The date time picker is easy to find. It's right in the common controls area. Just double click on it and it applies it to the form. You can put it anywhere in the form that you choose. What I would do once I get this form is name it. And I'd use Hungarian notation, in my case, date time picker, and I would call it date time picker date. Once I've got that in place, I might change the font on this thing, make it bold, and maybe make it a 10 so it's a little easier to see. And I might stretch it a little bit. I can adjust the width of the control, but the height is controlled by the size of the font. The format determines whether the date or times can be displayed. And you can take a look at the format control sitting right here. Right now it's set for long. If we adjust this thing to set it for short, we get a date like this. If we set it for time, we can just show the time parameter. And there's a custom format that you can set as well, where you can determine how you want the date and time to actually appear. We won't get into that right now. We'll use the long for now. If I run this form, we'll just do a save on this thing real quickly. The user has the ability to use a drop-down box and change any date they would like. And based on the minimum dates and maximum dates, you can go out as far as you want up into that minimum maximum dates. In this case, I did not change that. I left it alone. We'll pop out of here, go back into our form, and you can see that the max date is set for 12/31/9998. The minimum date is set for 1/1/1753. You can adjust this to anything you'd like by using the control right in here to actually set that minimum date. The show up down is this piece right down in here. And if you change this, right now it's true, it's false rather. If we change it to true, we get this particular thing. This is useful from the standpoint of if we run it, we end up with a different item. Whatever we're clicking on, we can drop down and make the change to it. Notice how we change the month very easily. We can change the date as well by using this particular format, and we can use the year and adjust it through the drop down. If we go back to our original, make show up down false and run it again, we end up using this as our control. This particular control right here, using the up and down arrows, is useful for time. So if we set this thing to time right now in our format again, we just get the time display, and if we run this, we can highlight the hours, minutes, seconds, or whatever, and use the control to adjust that and place it in the form. So basically, it's a tool that allows you to specify a date and a time and then extract that data for whatever you're using inside your application. Let's take a look at that. If I take some controls that I already have defined and apply them on this form, I can set something up like this, where I can display the full date, day of the week, date, time, hour, minute, and seconds. And I do that by setting up labels in here that are going to control that. Label out, for example. This one is called label day of the week, label day, label year, label time, label hour, label minute, and label second. If I jump to this right now, remember, we have an event that can be caused. If we double click on the event, in fact, let's set this thing, before we even do that, let's set our property back to the original property, which we had here, which was our calendar. And let's also change this from time to long, our format. We'll come out like this. What I'd like to do is double click on this to create the event. Notice we get a DTP date value changed event. In here, we can make changes to our code and allow us to extract the data we're actually looking at in there. And we do that by basically, right now we'll set up a label out dot text is equal to DTP date dot value to string. And we'll do a save on this. If we take a quick look and run this, we'll now see that whatever date we do, whatever we change on this thing, it's going to appear in here. So we can go ahead and click on this, set it to say the 14th of December, and we get our date and time, 12/14. We change it again to the 23rd, we get it to change again. Notice the time is going to be whatever the current time is. It happens to be 1:58 right now, so it's grabbing the current time. The 25th, you're sitting like this. That property allows you to make changes to everything. You can get access to all these pieces. The day of the week, for example. Let's go in here again, and let's go ahead and look at the day of the week. We pop that in there. We simply use DTP, that value to date of the week, the time to string, and it goes to the day of the week. File save, run it again, go to 25th again. We're picking out Wednesday. We're picking that out and assigning here so we have it inside a label. We can do that to all of these things. We actually have the ability to look at the day, the year, the time of the day, the hour, the minute, and the second. So if we go ahead and do a file save on this, we can control any day we wish, the 25th again. We get all this 14 hours, 0 minutes, 34 seconds. What if we want to actually change the time? If you do that, you need to change it to a time display device. So we'll go in here and go ahead to our design and click on it and go to our properties, click on our format and change it to a time display. And now if we run this, all we see is the time. It's going to use the current date in here, or you can set a date through code to actually change that value. But right now we're sitting at 2:01. I can go in here and change this property to, let's say 2:10. It's changed. As soon as I make that change, it grabs it and defines it as 12/13/2024, 2:10:15, Friday 13th 24, and displays the time, 14:10. I can change it again. Let's go to 3 o'clock, or let's go to let's see 11, and we get this particular information pops up here. 2300 hours. Change it to AM, and we're now sitting at 11:10:15. So you're able to control all this, basically, and get access to it through the code. It's not a very difficult tool at all. You're basically looking at all of these values that you can actually get to when you actually write the code. You can set up labels up, get at the value, which is the entire date, the day of the week, the day, the year, the time of day, the hours, minutes, seconds, and break those all down. So the one tool gives you access to all these pieces. That's really it with the DateTime Control, DateTime Picker. It's very, very simple to use.